I'm watching us go from 36,000 feet to 32,000 feet to like, we're just like dipping. It's like a roller coaster ride, right? And then we get to about 12,000 feet. And then pilot comes on the intercom and he's like, we're heading in for an emergency landing. Please fasten your seatbelts. As this is happening, behind us, we hear like pop, 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 things just blowing up, right? And like at the whole time, literally, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, fuck, if I died right now, I would not want to go out like this. You're tuned into Cine Hustle, and I'm your host, Vin Chandra. So as a child, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to perform in front of an audience. I was actually known for that during family events and even taking drama in middle school, high school, and college. You know, I was born in Fiji. I watched a lot of movies that were imported into Fiji from, the US. Then when I moved to New Zealand, I watched, I think the first movie I ever watched was Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And, and I used to think like, when I was a kid growing up, I didn't know better, but I used to think like the US, like NASA had Starship Enterprises as astronauts, and Captain Kirk was like a real astronaut, like I used to think these things were true. And it just, like made the universe so much bigger. And that's why I love the art form. I just love, I could sit there and watch movies all day, and I mean, I'm partial to like action. My favorite movie of all time is The Crow. Brandon Lee, the late great Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son. And, I think now, I'm almost 40, but I have a dream of, making films that I'm hoping more people will watch. For many years, I think most of my adult life, I jumped through a bunch of different careers. So my family is very entrepreneurial. My brother had a auto body shop, which I worked at. My mother had an Indian clothing store, which I helped manage. Even in school, I was studying a bunch of different things. I originally wanted to study psychology, but it didn't turn out that way. So instead, I just jumped around from career to career. I worked at a hospital. I had my own yoga studio for a bit. I tried a bunch of different things. And then it wasn't until an incident on a plane coming back from my honeymoon that changed my life forever. I look up and the oxygen mask just dropped. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I just put mine on. Then my wife gets up. And then the pilot goes, everybody fasten your seatbelt. And then so like basically everybody clicks the seatbelt. And then all you feel is like, the plane just dipping out of control. Just like going, and we're like, what the fuck? And I have this habit of looking at the screen while I'm flying, right? Of looking at our flight information. So I'm watching us go from 36,000 feet to 32,000 feet to like, we're just like dipping. It's like a roller coaster ride, right? And then we get to about 12,000 feet. And then like the pilot comes on the intercom and he's like, we're heading in for an emergency landing. Please fasten your seatbelts. As this is happening, behind us, we hear like pop, 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 things just blowing up, right? And we're like, what the fuck is going on, right? And then we smell this burning sensation. We're over we're over Colorado, and the plane is like like just side to side, right? I'm thinking, when are we gonna fucking hit a mountain? That's what I'm thinking. I'm looking outside the window, and all I see are like, I don't know if it's clouds or smoke, but I just remember like, so my wife, she's like frozen in her spot, and I turn around and tell her like, hon, I love you. Whatever happens, I love you and stuff like. This was a honeymoon, coming back from a honeymoon. I was like, okay, we're stabilized, but let me just call my mom. And I was like, hey, Mom, this looks like I'm not going to get home today. And I love you. And then she kind of didn't understand what was going on. And I'm like, look, I'm going to hang up right now. And then so I hung up because I'm like, the last thing I want her to hear is like me like blowing into a mountain or something. And then finally we make a landing in the airport in Nebraska. And you could see like a row of like 12 fire trucks pull up like next to us. So what had happened was the cabin pressure compressor burnt out. So they dipped to 10,000 feet so we could breathe normal air. And the pop, pop, pop going on behind us was the differential in air pressure from the bags of chips. So like luckily we dipped, otherwise we would have like just knocked out and died. Coming off a moment where I thought I was going to die and, being 31 years old and not having done much in my life, I decided on the spot when we got safely on the ground that I was going to pursue a career in film. I came back home. I really took stock of everything. I quit my job. At the time, I was working at a medical insurance administration company. I just decided, and I talked to my dad, and I was like, look, I have a bit of a business plan. My dream has always been do something in the film industry. And, cameras are getting cheaper now. And I go, could I have a bit of a loan to start a business, to kind of learn this trade? So he gave me the loan and I started working. And for nearly 9 years, I've been a commercial, corporate, and now narrative filmmaker. So this podcast it serves two purposes. One, it's going to be about where I've been. It's about what mistakes I've made, what successes I've made, how I've navigated those failures and successes. And secondly, it's going to be about the filmmaking process because I am making my own movie for the first time. And so basically, I want to walk people through a process of how somebody who is outside of the Hollywood bubble is going about filming a movie, which as of right now, this is a $50,000 piece of art. And my goal is to reach 100 to make a film. If people follow me along that journey, then maybe that'll either motivate them to go out and make their film, or, it'll give them some advice about what to do, what not to do. And that's what I think the crux of this podcast is. Cine Hustle is written and produced by me, Vin Chandra. Our audio engineer and editor is Joshua Montmany. You can find us at youtube.com/Vin Chandra or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit the subscribe button and tell a friend. Thanks for listening.